Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm starting with the topic of percentage basics. We're going to study the different methods of calculation of percentages, and we'll see some basic questions as well because it's a first part, and in the coming parts we'll be looking into the different types of questions and difficult levels of questions which are asked in the topic of percentage. So let's begin. What is the meaning of percentage? Percentage is nothing but divided by 100. So if I say 20%, that means 20 divided by 100. If I say 15%, that means 15 divided by 100, right? And when I say 20% of a number, suppose if I say 20% of 300, that means of is nothing but mathematically a multiplication. So I can write down 20 divided by 100. Of is multiplication of 300. So this is the basic most thing about the topic percentage, the meaning of the word percent, that is divided by 100, and percentage of a number is nothing but that 20, suppose x percent of 300, so it is x by 100 into 300. So here it was 20% of 300, for example, which means 20 by 100 into 300. So if you solve that further, you will get that equal to 60. That is the basic part of the topic percentage. Now let us see how do we calculate percentages. Okay, the question here is 12.5% of 560. Now as you can see, I have written three methods here. One is basic, the other is split, and the other is fraction. Now the basic is the way I told you in the previous slide. 12.5% is divided by 100 of 560, right? Now if you solve this further, it becomes 125 by 1000. I'm taking care of the decimal here, into 560, and then I can cancel 125 ones and 1000 by 8s. So 560 by 80 will be 70. So that will be the method of basic calculation. Now the second method is split calculation. Here we need to understand what is the 100% of the given number. So what is 100% of 560? 100% of that number 560 is equal to 560 itself, right? 100% of any number is that number itself. So let us say, if I say what is 100% of 24, so 100% of 24 is 24 itself. So similarly here, 100% of 560 is 560. Then what is 10%? 10% of that number is 56, a decimal left to it. And then I want 1% as well. So 1% of that number will be one more decimal backwards, which will be 5.6. Now why do I need this for split calculation? Because the question is 12.5%. So now I am going to write down the 12.5% as 10% plus 2% plus 0.5%. Now there is no rule to split this calculation. You can do it any which way you want to, right? But just as of now, I'm going it for 10% plus 2% plus 0.5%. Now what is 10%? 10% is 56, right? And now I want 2%. I know 1% is 5.6. So 2% will be double of that, which is 7 point, no, 5.6 into 2 is 11.2. And then I want 0.5%. Now 1% is 5.6, so 0.5% should be 2.8. Now if you add all these three numbers, it will be again 70. So this is split calculation method. Okay, I'm not saying that this is the smartest one or the shortest one, but I'm just giving you the different methods. Okay, the methods usage will depend on the type of question that you have encountered. The third method is fraction method, wherein you should know the fraction in the beginning. So what is 12.5? If you know 12.5% is also equal to 1 by 8 in terms of fraction, then this question becomes a matter of 2 seconds, because 12.5% means 1 by 8 of 560, and that is nothing but 70. So the fraction method for this given question is the fastest one to go for, right? So these are the three different methods of calculation. Now as I said again, I am saying that these methods will depend on the type of question that we encounter. Let us see which method to use when. Okay, if you check this question, okay, before that let us have a look at the different fractions that are available. Okay, so 1 by 1 means 100%, 1 by 2 is 50%, 1 by 3 is 33.33, and so on. So there are many of them. Okay, so if it is better if you remember these fractions, or at least be familiarized with these fractions, because every time you will come across these numbers. either in terms of fractions or in terms of the percentage values. Okay, let us have a look at one example. The example here is 20% of 250 plus 9.09% of 44. Now I should know that 20% is nothing but 1 by 5 from the fraction table from the previous slide. So 1 by 5 of 250 plus 9.09 is nothing but 1 by 11. So if you know this, then this becomes a very simple calculation. So 1 by 5 of 250 is 50, and that 1 by 11 of 44 is 4. So 50 plus 4 is 54. See, the question became matter of two steps and few seconds only when you know that 20% is 1 by 5 and 9.09 is 1 by 11. So that is when this is the moment, or this is the type of question where you go for the fraction method. Okay, so it is not advisable in such questions to go for the split calculation method or the basic method. Then let us see one more question. 32% of 850. Now we don't really know a percentage equivalent, a fraction equivalent of 32%. So it is better to go ahead with the split calculation here. So now I know 850 is the number, which means 10% of that number is equal to 85 and 1% is equal to 8.5. Now I want 32%, that is nothing but 30% plus 2%. Now if 10% is 85, then 30% would be how much? 2 255. 8 3 is 24 and 5 3 is 15. Yeah, 255 plus 2%. Now 2%, 1% is 8.5, so 2% will be 17. Now if you add these two, 255 plus 17, that will be 272. So see, it become very simple calculation when you choose the split calculation here. So it depends on every question which method do you use. So I hope we have learned the methods of calculation so far. So let's now learn the base of comparison. In the questions of percentages, this one is very important thing to understand what is the base of comparison in the given statement. So look at this. The first statement says x is what percent of y. Now we are comparing, in this statement we are comparing x with respect to y. So the base of comparison here is y. So of y is an hint here. Okay. Check the next one. What percent of x is y? So in this question here, the base of comparison here is x, because the statement is of x. What percent of x is y? So we are comparing y with respect to x. So when we want percentage, obviously we will multiply this by 100, right? And we want percentage here, we want to multiply this by 100 as well. Then the next one is x is what percent more than y? Now here the statement is more than, and if you look at the fourth one, it is again less than. So whenever we have more than statement or less than statement, in that case the base of comparison is the variable which is mentioned after that. So it is y here, right? So in this case, in this statement the base of comparison is y. And what do we compare in these cases? Whenever there is more than or less than y, we compare the difference here. So the difference between x and y. So the question says x is what percent more than y, which means x is more. So the difference should be x minus y divided by y in 200. Similarly, if you look at the last one, it is less than y, which means the base of comparison is y. And since it is less than, again we will go for the difference. Fine. But now the question says x is what percent less than y, which means here y is bigger one. So it should be y minus x, the difference, and divide by y in 200. So these four types of statements we come across in the topic of percentages, okay, where the base is important, and again what are we comparing with? What are we comparing is the numerator, and what are we comparing it with is the base of comparison. Okay, let us try to utilize this concept in the coming question. The question is, if A is 60% of B, then B is what percent greater than A? So to solve the next part of the question, we should know the values of A and B, which can be done by the first part, which is A is 60% of B. Here I have to assume the value of B equal to something. So since we are the topic of percentage, let us assume B equal to 100. So if I assume B equal to 100, then A is 60% of B, which means A should be equal to 60. Now the question is B is what percent greater than A? So greater than A, which means the base of comparison is A, and since it is greater than, the comparison should be the difference. Okay, so I am comparing the difference with respect to A. So the difference here is going to be 100 minus 60, and the base is again A, which is 60 into 100. So the difference is 40. 40 divided by 60 into 100. Now this can be solved further with any which way. It could be one, the method of basic calculation, the second method of fraction calculation. So if you cancel out these two numbers, it becomes 2 by 3, right? And we know what is 1 by 3. 1 by 3 is 33.33%. So 2 by 3 is nothing but 66.66%. So what is the answer? The answer is B is 66.6% more than A. Okay, let us have a look at one more question. If A is 25% less than B, then B is what percent more than A? So again we have a question here which can be answered with the help of the values of A and B. So let us find out the values of A and B first. So if A is 25% less than B, so let us assume B equal to 100. So if I assume B equal to 100, the question says A is 25% less than B. It is not 25% of B. It is 25% less than B. So if B equal to 100, then 25% of B is equal to how much? 25 itself, right? And then the statement says A is 25% less, which means A should be equal to 25 less, that is 75. Okay, so the value of B is 100 and that of A is 75. Now the question says B is what percent more than A? So more than means the base of comparison has to be A here, and the numerator should be the difference. Right, now what is the difference between A and B here? The difference between A and B is 25, and the base of comparison is 75. Right, so 25 by 75 is nothing but 1 by 3, and 1 by 3 is 33.33%. Right, so this is how the calculations are done, where the base of comparison is important and what are you comparing, that's also important. So in such questions, the difference is the comparison. Difference is the number we are comparing, and we are comparing that difference with the base of comparison. Okay, let us see one more question. If A is 25% less than B and B is 20% more than C, then find A is to B is to C. So ultimately the question is different. It wants us to find out the ratio A is to B is to C, for which I will need to know the values of A, B and C. Now if you look at the question, it is a chain of statements. A is some percent less than B, and then B is some percent more than C, which means it is a statement of statement. So in such cases, it is always advisable to start with the last variable. So we have three variables here. A is the first variable, B is the second variable, and C is the third variable. So let us assume the third variable. I'm not saying that is the only way, but it is the better way to start off with the last variable. So I'm considering C equal to 100. Now once I consider C equal to 100, it says B is 20% more than C. So 20% more than C, which means it will be now equal to 120. I hope you can understand this part, right? Now B is 120. Now since B is 120, the statement says A is 25% less than B. So A should be 25% less. Now what is 25% of 120? Let me first find out that. Okay, so 25% means 1/4. So 25% is nothing but 1/4. 1/4 of 120 is 30, which means A is 25% less than B. Also it means A is 30 less than B. So that gives me the value of A equal to 90. Okay, I did it very quickly in the beginning here because it was very simple, since I was dealing with 100, and then I had to calculate separately for the value of A because it was not 100, now it was 120. By practice you can do it without calculation as well. Now I have values of A, B and C. Now the question is the ratio between A, B and C. So A is to B is to C. The numbers are 90, 120 and 100. So for ratio we have to reduce them to the least possible numbers. If you reduce them, it becomes 9 is to 12 is to 10. So that's the answer of A is to B is to C. So I hope we have understood the basics of base of comparison. So that's all for the today's video, guys. I hope you have understood all the questions and the basics that we have discussed today. In the coming video, we shall be discussing a difficult develop question set on that same topic of percentage. And I request you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you get the notifications of the coming videos. Thank you.